Hello and welcome to your Recipe for Financial Success with me, Emma, and my colleagues Becky and Julie.
In each episode, we'll be bringing you a list of ingredients to help you cook up a storm and master methods to finesse your finances. We'll be helping you expand your repertoire and hopefully teach you a few new skills along the way.
So, clear the counters and get your mixing bowls ready for today's recipe. Let's get started. So, Julie, you've had your first lockdown birthday.
I have, and actually, to be honest, I'd sort of forgot it was my birthday, and I hadn't seen any cards come in because Ralph must have been hiding them as they came in the door. So I was quite surprised on my birthday morning when he sort of come through with breakfast in bed and a pile of cards. So that was very, very nice.
That's very nice. Breakfast in bed too. What did you have?
Well, it was yoghurt and fruit, so don't get too excited, but it was still very nice.
Oh, I was going to say, that's quite nice.
It's okay when we've got fresh fruit, but as I only go to the supermarket once every fortnight, at the end of the fortnight, we're getting a bit limited on what's in my fruit.
Yeah, I can't imagine that'd be the greatest breakfast after 2 weeks.
A nice bit of stale apple.
Yeah, pretty much apple does feature quite prominently, actually.
But I think it's fair now, Becky, isn't it, that we've got almost a year round, so Julie's had her lockdown birthday.
I think so, yeah. I feel she'd have really missed out if she didn't have a lockdown birthday.
Thanks, guys, I think. So I also got some rather nice cocktails as well in the office, which is very nice indeed. And Ralph and I had a romantic meal for two on the Friday night, which is also very nice.
Lovely. You're going to be catching up soon, Becky, because you'll be on to your second lockdown birthday.
I know. Well, I am quite competitive, so I do always like to just be slightly ahead of everyone else.
I'm not sure that one counts.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's competitive for the right reasons, unfortunately, but never mind.
Never mind, indeed.
Well, hopefully I won't have a second lockdown birthday, because that is quite a depressing thought.
Yeah, don't even talk about it.
Yeah, let's not even think about that yet. Hopefully another few more months and we'll be back to normal, whatever that may look like.
Our new normal.
You never know, Emma. You might get your birthday present from last year.
You never know. I'm still really excited to find out what this is.
We're quite excited for going too.
Yeah, I am excited.
I have no idea.
We know.
Well, you've done a very good job of keeping that one a secret. But anyway, shall we crack on?
Let's crack on. Julie, do you want to introduce today's episode?
I certainly can. In this week's episode, we're beginning to fold some episodes together, and we're talking about attitude to risk.
Emma, do you want to start off by telling us a bit of an overview of what attitude to risk is?
I can indeed. So, attitude to risk is finding the right balance for your investment. So it's thinking about what the potential losses might be over a period of time compared to how much you might possibly earn. But I just want to clarify what I mean by the word loss before I get carried away and use it a million times today. When I talk about a loss, what I'm talking about is a downturn in the market. So it's only a loss if you physically cash in your investment, because then you've consolidated it and you will get back less money. Providing you leave it invested, the investment could rise in value again, so it wouldn't necessarily be a loss as long as you leave it invested. So it's just one thing to think about when we all use the word loss a gazillion times today probably, that it's only a loss if you physically cash it in. So when we think about attitude to risk, the risk you want to take, like I say, is finding the right balance, but it's thinking about what your goals and objectives are as well. So depending on what you're planning to do is basically the risk you should be looking to take.
So I guess presumably someone who's saving in a pension, say for example me, saving into a pension, being 27, my attitude to risk for my pension may be a lot higher than say in my ISA, where I may want the money out say in 5 years' time.
That's very true. But it might not be the same for somebody else in your position. So attitude to risk is one of those things that's very, very personal to everybody. And because you feel that way, that you can take more risk because it's such a long time away, somebody else might not feel that they can do that because it's a huge amount of money that they're putting into there for their future, and they wouldn't want to take any risk. So it's one of those things that's very, very personal to everyone. So that's definitely the right thing for you, Becky, if that's how you feel. But maybe not for everybody.
There isn't a right or wrong answer.
No, there's not.
So Emma, what do you do? So if I said I wanted to invest some money, and I've got no idea what my attitude to risk is, where do you start? What's the first thing to do?
So where we always start is with a risk questionnaire. So there's lots of different questionnaires that are on the internet. I'm going to give you some examples of the questions that are in our risk questionnaire. So when I read this to you, don't think about the answer too much. Whatever you think of as the first answer, that's what you need to go with for your answer.
Okay, I think I can do that. Not a lot of thinking, so I should be there.
So, question number 1. You're on a game show and have so far won an amount equivalent to your household annual income, and you are offered a final 50-50 all or nothing gamble, which if you win will multiply your current winnings, but if you lose, you'll go home with nothing. How much of a multiplier will you need to be on offer to tempt you to take that gamble? Would you need double, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, or absolutely no amount would tempt you to gamble?
I think I would be on the slightly cautious end of this one. I think I'd want I would say like 3 or 4, definitely at least 3 or 4 times
That's fair
the
enough.
amount.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, Becky. To be fair, double, I would probably, take the money. But I think 3 times, I'd be up for that. Yeah, definitely.
I think
It's worth a risk.
Yeah, but I'd want more than double to risk it.
That's completely fair enough. Interesting you say the same as well, though.
Any more questions? We liked that one.
I'm sure you did. I have another one. Imagine there is some financial turmoil in the world and the media are running daily stories about billions being wiped off the value of the market.
So, like, now then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
So which of these would be your answer? I wouldn't worry. What goes around comes around. I'd be nervous, but I understand it's all part of a cycle. I'd probably contact my advisor for some reassurance. I'd be on the phone making sure my advisor is moving my money to protect me. I'd cash absolutely everything in.
Go, Becky.
I think for this one, I would go for the second option that you said, which is I'd be nervous, but I'd understand that it's all part of a cycle.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Julie?
To be fair, I've lived through 2008 and what happened in 2008. And I wouldn't worry because what goes around will come round. I've seen it happen. I'm old enough to have seen it happen before, so hopefully I don't want to see it too many times, but now would be, for me, I would be okay with it.
As long as it's not your JPM Natural Resources Fund.
Well, yeah, obviously, apart from that one. We don't like to talk about that, Emma.
Top secret. So we see all sorts of different clients. So some of them would be really, really anxious and nervous and concerned about things, or like you two, some people aren't as concerned. They've seen things happen before and they understand kind of what the consequences of things are and how we might be impacted in future. So basically, the risk questionnaire, we normally go through 15 questions, so I'm only going to give you those 2 today. I'm not going to...
Oh, Emma.
Spoil sport.
Sorry. So I'll send you the rest later, so you can go through them again if you want to. But basically, once you get to the end of the 15 questions, or however many there are in the risk questionnaire that you do, you'll come out with a result. And we always see that as a starting point for the conversation. So you then need to think about different scenarios. So like Julie mentioned, if 2008 happens, how would that impact you? Is that going to be a problem? You need to think about what your goals are, your objectives. So Becky mentioned about a pension earlier, so planning for your retirement, or if it's an investment that you're saving up so you can, I don't know, buy a house or whatever it may be, thinking about what your objectives are and how far away that is. Obviously, the risk you're willing to take with your investment is gonna play a part of that. So if you come out as a really low risk, then obviously it might be a case that you choose to increase your risk because that fits with what you're looking to achieve, and it works for you. So
excellent. So what happens if I fill my questionnaire in, I answer all 15 questions, and it comes out and says, yeah, Becky, according to the results, you're happy to take lots and lots of risk. But actually, in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm not at all comfortable with that. What would you suggest?
Well, I'd suggest that you weren't really paying attention to the questions, Becky, because if that's how you felt, that's how you should have been answering the questions. But no, in all seriousness, if that's what happened and you filled it out and you didn't feel comfortable with the outcome, then, like I say, that would be part of the conversation. I'd like to think that you could say to me, Emma, I don't feel comfortable doing that.
So what would you do if you came across somebody who was like the most risk averse ever, and they basically currently kept their money under the mattress?
You'd be surprised how many people we have like that. And I don't mean people keeping money under the mattress. I mean people that are really risk averse.
I think I've got a cousin who had to keep his money under the mattress.
We've all had a relative like that. Don't worry. So I've actually sat with a client before. They've done all the questions on the risk questionnaire and they've come out as a risk 1. So on our scale of 1 to 7 that we usually use, a risk 1 would suggest that you should have all of your money in cash in the bank. Now,
not under the mattress?
Not under the mattress. Not particularly a safe place to keep it, I feel, but...
I also think there could be a house fire.
Yeah, and then you've lost everything. I don't think I'd want to take that risk.
Or mice.
Oh, why would you have mice under your bed, though?
Well, I felt it was less devastating than fire.
Okay, fair enough.
A bit slower.
So I had this client, she came out as a risk 1. So as I said, she should have all of her money as cash in a bank account, not under the mattress. So the only risk really of having your money in a bank account is inflation. But the reason she'd asked me to go see her in the first place was that she wasn't happy with the return she was getting in the bank account. She was getting less than 1% on her money, and she wasn't happy with that.
I think we all know how that feels at the moment.
Definitely. Don't want any negative interest rates where you're soon going to be paying to keep your money in the bank either. So that could be an issue. So her concern was, well, I can't be a risk 1 because I've got my money in a bank account and I'm not happy with it there because I'm not earning any money. So I need to take some risk to be able to possibly make some money. So we sat and had a little conversation, and with each of the risks that we have some kind of graphs and different things that shows how much you could potentially make or lose whilst invested in that risk with a particular asset allocation that we're going to come on to another week. And she sat there and had a look through and said, well, can I be a risk 4? And she then gave the reasons behind why she felt that risk, and because of the gains and potential losses that she could make in there, and that she wasn't happy with the return that she was getting at the moment, and she understood that she needed to take some risk. But I think there's lots in the media that scares people, where you see stories where people have lost all of their money, and it's a really big thing, and that's where people are anxious and nervous and scared about possibly losing all of their money. But if you were to go into a regulated investment, which often the ones that in the news stories aren't, so you don't always get the full story, you just get the headlines of the major problems. But if you're in a regulated investment and you're invested in lots of different funds, like we've talked about previously, it'd be very, very difficult to lose all of your money. So you possibly remember from the funds episode that we did previously with the Lion Trust Special Situations Fund, that you're invested in Diageo and Royal Dutch Shell and Unilever and BP. For you to lose all of your money, every single one of those companies would have to go bust. So what do you think the chances are?
Doesn't sound likely to happen at the minute, does it?
No. So it's potential that some of them could, but it's unlikely that every single one in every single fund that you hold are all going to go bust and you're going to lose. So it's just one of those things. It's talked about that it's quite easy to happen, but actually it's not quite as easy to happen, providing you're using a regulated investment with lots of different funds within it. So yeah, my client I saw came out as a risk 1 and ended up being in a risk 4. So it's just basically understanding it, which is why it's really good to talk about it and learn about it and understand what it means for you.
No, I think it's really important, Emma. I think, as you say, lots of people put their head in the sands over things like risk, and there is those people out there, you hear people say, I lost all my money, but I think it's like delving a bit deeper into what actually happened.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And I think with a diversified portfolio, investing in lots of different funds, that's something, and looking at the right level of risk, that's something that is as unlikely to happen.
Now, if you're going to just invest in palm oil, that's going to be pretty high risk, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So knowing what you're investing in is a very good thing.
No, definitely. So, Emma, have you done a risk questionnaire?
I have.
And what did you come out as?
I came out as a risk 4, right in the middle of our 1 to 7.
Ah, interesting. So are you invested in risk 4, if you don't mind us asking?
Nah, don't be so ridiculous.
So what are you invested in?
So like Becky mentioned earlier, I've got two investments, a pension and an ISA. So as Becky mentioned, and I said it's not the same for everyone, but actually I would be the same as Becky. So my pension is invested in a risk 7. So being the same age as Becky, and not being able to access my pension until I'm 55. I can't even work it out in my head how many years that is, but that's a lot of years.
A lot of years, Emma.
Definitely. So I'm prepared that there can be plenty of rises and falls in my investment over that period of time, because I can't touch it, I can't do anything with it. And from experience and what I've seen, I know generally it is going to go up, using the right funds and changing them over time and doing all the right things. So I'm really comfortable with that. My other investment is an ISA, and that's in a risk 5, which is just a little bit higher than the risk 4, just because I don't particularly need it anytime soon. I haven't got a huge plan for it. It's just saving it away for some special occasion that'll come along one day. So I just felt comfortable with that, having obviously an emergency fund in place like we've talked about previously. It's just growing away nicely.
You hope.
I hope.
So when we did our funds episode, you talked about shares and them being higher risk than funds. Why would that be?
If you hold a share directly with, say, I don't know, Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola share value falls, you've got nothing to protect you, because you've got to wait until it comes back up in value. You've got no other kind of funds or shares or anything. You're just solely relying on that one share to come back in value. Whereas if you use a fund that has lots of different shares within it, so like I said, the Diageo, the Unilever, the BP, all those different things within it, if BP share prices fall, okay, Unilever might rise. So you've got something to counteract it, which then reduces the level of risk. So just being in one share directly is much higher risk, because you've got nothing else to help you recover. Whereas within a fund with lots of different shares, the risk is spread out proportionally because you've diversified within it.
Makes sense.
I'm glad.
You passed the test.
Woohoo!
So I think that covers everything there is about attitude to risk, Emma, unless you've got anything else to add.
No, just to reiterate really, it's one of those things that's completely personal. And with that, we've completed today's recipe. We hope you have enjoyed following along with us today and cooking yourself one recipe closer to a financially secure future.
If you've enjoyed today's podcast, you can head over to www.recipeforfinancialsuccess.co.uk, where you can find out more information and a full list of ingredients from today's recipe. For more hints, tips and tasters, find us on Facebook at Your Recipe for Financial Success.
If you'd like to get more involved, share your own experiences and learn from a friendly community on a similar journey to you, why not join us in our new Facebook group, The Money Compass, where we will support you to navigate your way to financial success.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.